Hello, how are you doing? The old git is here, sitting to one side today, just thought I would. And I've got the old cap on because I'm really in a bad mood. And what I was going to say to you today is about this thing with Gaza and Lebanon and how it keeps going on. Now, before we go into that, I did say a little while ago that Keir Starmer wouldn't last very long, and I don't think he's going to. And my prediction was that he will be very soon, when he's served his purpose, he will get all the letters of no confidence, and he will then have to resign as Prime Minister, and they need to elect a new one. But I feel the most dangerous thing that could be happening when that does happen is because the Labour Party is still full of anti-Israel, anti-Zionist, whatever you want to call them, people who don't like the Far East, Middle East, and they just don't like anybody well, they don't like the Jewish people in general. I suppose I can say that because it's true. But the in the government still is a guy called Jeremy Corbyn, and most people in England have heard of him. And later on in the show, I'm going to show you what he's like. He's a disgrace to the UK, in actual fact, and he's actually a serving MP, alongside with some other MPs who were voted on one subject and one subject only, and that was to free Palestine. And for me, people who have voted for that, as Jeremy Corbyn also supports that, are also giving their vote over in support of a prescribed terrorist group. But that's more of that. Now, just because I think that a lot of people out there, especially some of the young people, are totally ill-informed, they're supporting the wrong thing. The Jews have never done anything wrong. They've got their own country, they want to live in their own sovereign country, they want to be left alone and get on with their life, as do the Palestinian people. And I want to make just another observation here before we go into everything that I'm going to do for you right now, is this. Why is it that the Muslim countries who are very wealthy, like Saudi Arabia and Egypt and Oman, they're all Muslim countries where Muslims can live in accordance to the Muslim law, don't take any refugees from Palestine or from Lebanon? Why do you think that is? Why is it that people like the guy who was the Prime Minister, or the whatever you call him in Scotland, the head one, was saying, oh, there's plenty of room for them in England? No, there isn't. We don't have any room for anybody in England right now. But that's not the point. The point is, why are the Arab countries not taking the really nice people from the Gaza refugees, let them come out, let them go to an Arab country, and they can live according to their Islamic law, and leave just the fighters there? Then obviously Israel could go in and smash them all and finish it all off, because they are a prescribed terrorist group, as are Hezbollah. Now, Hezbollah is a different thing altogether. They're a very organised, very high mechanized, very high weaponized, and they join Hezbollah with the understanding that they're going to die. So that's a bit frightening, because most soldiers from most countries want to live, they don't want to die. But them, they think they're going to get their 7 virgins or whatever it is. Anyway, I don't want to go on chatting too long about this, but people who know more about this than me, let's say listen to somebody, a lady called Lizzie, and she's just going to briefly tell you what it's all about. What is it all about, Lizzie? And she can explain it much better than me. And sit back, plug your earplugs back, especially young people who go out shouting and wearing that stupid scarf, and listen to what this lady says, because she's not lying, she's telling the truth. Okay, so come on, Lizzie, you tell her what it's all about. Okay.
All right, let's talk about Hezbollah, Lebanon, and Israel. I'm going to try to make this as simple as possible. So a friend recently asked me, what is the difference between Hamas and Hezbollah? This is a crucial question, especially with what's happening in Lebanon right now. Both Hamas and Hezbollah are Iranian proxies, and they have the same key goal: the total destruction of Israel. Hamas is operating in Gaza, targeting southern Israel, and Hezbollah is operating in Lebanon, targeting northern Israel. Both of them use civilian homes to launch their rockets and store their weapons, and they both show a total disregard for human life, whether it's Israeli life or the lives of their own people. But Hezbollah is a different beast. Their fighters are more trained, their weapons are more advanced, and southern Lebanon is now a heavily fortified base of operations. As we watch this escalation unfold, I want you to understand one really important thing. This is not a conflict between Israel and the Lebanese people. Just like Israel is not at war with the Palestinian people, Israel is defending itself against Hezbollah, a ruthless terrorist army that threatens its very existence. Hezbollah operates independently of the Lebanese government, just like Hamas is independent from the Palestinian people. But these are not rogue militias. They are full-blown terrorist armies. In fact, Hezbollah's military force is larger and more powerful than the Lebanese army itself, and it is believed to be stronger than the armies of most medium-sized European countries. So, since October 8th, Hezbollah has fired over 8,000 rockets into northern Israel. They have killed many, including 12 children on a soccer field. Yet, the world barely condemned it, or worse, twisted it to somehow blame Israel. Over 100,000 Israelis have been displaced from their homes in the north, and they have been living as refugees in their own country for nearly a year. And this is a crisis that nobody seems to want to talk about. And by the way, northern Israel is literally burning. So while most of the world has been focused on Gaza, Israel has been fighting a war on multiple fronts since the very beginning. With Hezbollah ramping up its attacks on the northern border, the teeny tiny country of Israel is defending itself from murderous terrorists to the south, to the north, and to almost every direction. It is absolutely insane. So why is this happening? It's pretty simple. Hezbollah thrives on chaos, and Iran uses them to keep Israel constantly on edge. The most frustrating part is that there is supposed to be a buffer zone between Israel and Lebanon, monitored by, guess who? The UN. But guess what? UNIFIL has completely failed to enforce it. For years, Hezbollah has been building up its arsenal of weapons right under the UN's nose, violating every diplomatic agreement made after Israel withdrew from Lebanon 24 years ago. And now, Israel is left with no choice but to respond. As always, Israel is doing everything it can to protect civilians on both sides. But no matter how precise their targeting of Hezbollah's military positions, they are still demonized. Just look at last week. Israel conducted the most precise attack ever in combat history, targeting Hezbollah terrorists through their pagers with unbelievable accuracy. But politicians, the UN, and media figures still condemn them. It's as if Israel is simply not allowed to defend itself at all. And you know what I call that? Anti-Semitism. Plain and simple. This war is going to have devastating consequences for both Israel and Lebanon. Israel never asked for this war. They never wanted a war on any front. They just want peace with their neighbors. But Hezbollah's unprovoked aggression, like Hamas's, cannot be stopped through diplomacy. This is about survival for Israel. I want to take a moment to say thank you to our heroic IDF soldiers for protecting Israel and the Jewish people all over the world. You are in my constant prayers.
Did you get the gist of what that lady was saying? And it seems to me that the only thing that any of the Arab countries want, especially Iran, which is behind all this, which is even their own people in Iran don't want the regime they're living under now, where they're killing 16-year-old girls for not covering their hair and chopping off people's heads for listening to music, and basically tyrannical society, barbaric in every way. Even their own people are turning against it and trying to rebel. But what do? You rebel against the tyrants and they kill you. This is the country that's behind all this. It's got to be Iran. And I don't want to put anything more about Iran except that their day is coming. And whilst I talk about Iran, they've just launched an attack yesterday, so you'll know when I'm making this video, towards Israel. And I think now is the time for them to get a smack on the legs. And all the democratic countries in the world should unite, because at the end of the day, Israel is not just fighting for itself, it's fighting for any democratic state, because it is the wish of the likes of Hezbollah, ISIS, the other ones, all these factions, the Houthis, and especially Iran, to make the planet totally Islamic. So they're your enemy too. And I believe that many countries in the world, many European countries and other countries, have already got inside them a fifth column, an army that's already inside, and it's there and it's ready to be activated because the moves are being made. Anyway, so that lady explains it very well, and I think she was quite reasonable in what she said. And again, I'm going to say to you, why aren't any Arab countries taking any of the refugees? And also, they keep on, they're so critical of how the Israelis are conducting this war. I've never known a war, and not a war in history, has warned the people where they're going to strike before they strike. Yes, there's casualties, but we get this number of casualties that comes out every day from Hamas. And according to them, it's all women and children. Okay? It's totally wrong, and we can't believe everything. And I do commend the Israeli soldiers and the Israeli army for trying to not kill civilians, but it's impossible when the cowards hide behind them. As do Hezbollah now, with their weapons and their rockets actually hidden in residential buildings. Okay, so she's educated. Now let's look at our government, our horrible new government, Mr. Keir Starmer's government. And for me, this man is he's a total rip-off. He should never be in government. Him and David Lammy. And he made, after this attack by Hezbollah, he made a statement. So I want you to have a listen to the statement that Keir Starmer was making, or made, in regards to, I think, 200 rockets or ballistic missiles that were fired into Israel yesterday. Oh, by the way, it's the 2nd of the 10th, and I'm still in Spain. I've got me angry hat on, and it's pretty hot. It's 32 degrees today. Anyway, let's listen to Barmy Starmy talking about it. I'm going to pick holes in his speech of what he should have said that he didn't say. Here he is.
Good evening. In the last few hours, the Iranian regime has launched over 200 ballistic missiles at civilian targets in Israel. It's too soon to assess the impact fully, but I utterly condemn this attempt by the Iranian regime to harm innocent Israelis, to escalate this incredibly dangerous situation and push the region ever closer to the brink. It cannot be tolerated. We stand with Israel and we recognize her right to self-defense in the face of this aggression. Iran must stop these attacks, together with its proxies like Hezbollah. Iran has menaced the Middle East for far too long. Chaos and destruction brought not just to Israel, but to the people they live amongst in Lebanon and beyond. Make no mistake, Britain stands full square against such violence. We support Israel's reasonable demand for the security of its people. I've spoken today to Prime Minister Netanyahu, the King of Jordan, President Macron, and Chancellor Scholz. In the last week, I've also spoken to other leaders, including Prime Minister McCarthy of Lebanon, President Abbas, the leader of the Palestinian Authority, to try to find the space for a political solution to the conflicts in Lebanon and Gaza. Because I am deeply concerned that the region is on the brink, and I'm deeply concerned about the risk of miscalculation. The situation in Lebanon is increasingly grave. I want to repeat my advice to British nationals who are still in Lebanon. You must leave now. You should register your presence with government officials on our website. We have a chartered flight, and we're doing everything we can to get people out. but the situation is extremely volatile. So if you have the means to leave, the time is now. Do not wait.
The time is now. Yeah, well, I'll tell you a few things that he missed out there. He missed out that his Home Secretary, David Lammy, you know, the genius that he is, couldn't even remember his name on Mastermind, but anyway, went on to say to the government a week or two ago, we must stop supplying arms to Israel or certain things because it's not within the law. During wartime and a threat to democracy, there is no law. Do you think that Hamas are going to stick to law? Do you think that Hezbollah are going to stick to law? Do you think of any of those stick to law? They don't know what law is. They only know one law, and that is murdering, raping, killing. That's all they know. And to say something like that is like saying to Hezbollah, "Oh well, we'll help you out. We'll stop sending this." You should be ashamed of yourself. He didn't mention that in his speech. He didn't mention that they were trying to stop some of the things that Britain supply. And he also keeps calling for a ceasefire. It's not up to him. A ceasefire doesn't do it. Because if there's a ceasefire agreed by the Israelis, then the Palestinian militant horrible people, the ones there, the Hezbollah, whatever you call them, will think that they've had a win and that they've been supported. The only way that this is going to end is by the eradication of all the terrorists and giving up their weapons and giving up the, if any are still alive, the poor people who were kidnapped. And he should not have spoke the way he just spoke, asking for a two-state solution. There can't be one if one doesn't want it. And Gaza doesn't want a two-state. They just want the rivers to the sea. They don't want a democratic or a non-Muslim country on Arab soil. So there we go. There's not a solution apart from the annihilation, and obviously then let Israel try to get people to live in peace. Let them be the leaders of it. Let the UN put in the buffer zone they're supposed to put in according to the young lady Lizzie, which they didn't do. So there you go. Keir Starmer I don't like. Now also, in this country we have some terrible people who go round every week shouting free Palestine, all the rest of it, who again don't know what the hell they're talking about. Some of them don't even know where Palestine is. But they're being manipulated by these clever people, these people who are infiltrating even our government now, when certain politicians have been voted into our parliament, into the UK parliament, standing up for just one particular thing, free Palestine, and they're voted in with a Muslim vote. There shouldn't be a Muslim vote or any. It should be British. You couldn't. For me, if you were standing on something to do with another country, it's not allowed. It wouldn't be allowed. You have to stand on things that affect the country in. It's like me going to Palestine and saying free whatever, free the hostages. I don't know what I want to say, but you get the drift. So again, ridiculous people. And there's some traitors as well, people who really hate Britain but are British. Why are they here? Go over to Palestine and help fight against the horrible regime. You won't get very far. So one of those people is somebody that I really hate. Now, in my prediction, I said in one of my last videos that this man will cross the floor because he's a serving politician right now, become the leader of the Labour Party, and then you're in real trouble. Because let's listen to what this man has to say about his home country and what he stands for. For me, there's only one word for this man, and that is traitor. But let's see how he speaks about Palestine.
Thank you! Thank you! Thank you all! Thank you all for being here today! Thank you! Thank you for showing solidarity with the people of Al-Aqsa, with the people of Jerusalem, with the people of Gaza. Thank you for showing that solidarity. The scenes on our televisions of IDF forces attacking worshippers outside Al-Aqsa Mosque and planes bombing people in Gaza are truly shocking. Innocent lives are being lost, all because of the occupation of Palestine. And surely the way forward is quite simply this: the occupation of Palestine must end. The settlement policy must end. There must be, as we promised in our manifesto, recognition, unconditional recognition of the state of Palestine. And the right of people to remain in their own homes, not to have their land taken, their farms divided, or roads built across their land, which prevents them from carrying out normal life. And for the people of Gaza, who for all these years have been living under siege, insufficiency of supplies of food, insufficiency of fuel, and insufficiency of work, despite being the best educated population in the world, the highest number of degrees of any population. And so what I'm saying is actually completely in line with international law. It is in line with the Geneva Accords. It is in line with what the United Nations General Assembly has voted. And so there are people, and I've done many conferences with them, from Palestine, from Israel, from all across the world, who recognize the only way to peace is by ending the occupation, ending the settlement policy, and abiding by international human rights support. But in the midst of this crisis at the present time, and it is a crisis at the present time, and I speak as one who has met residents in Sheikh Jarrah some years ago and seen what they were going through as settlers tried to force them out of their homes. But in the midst of this crisis, I say this: there is a point of hope. The whole world is seeing in real time what is actually happening. Our solidarity here in London is to bring about the permanent peace in which the Palestinian people will no longer ever be under occupation again. It's our solidarity, it's our human rights, it's our actions all around the world that wants to bring peace for all peoples to be able to live their lives as they would wish. And I finally say this, for those Palestinians who are refugees in Lebanon, in Jordan, in many other countries, we also remember you. We are not going to forget you either. You are part of the many refugees around the world. And so, my friends, thank you for your attendance today. Thank you for your solidarity, and thank you for caring for the Palestinian people.
Well, what can I say? I can't say a lot. The phone's just gone off, and I'll just have a look at it whilst I'm on the... It's all done in real time. And as I answer this, and hopefully I won't get disturbed again, that man, as far as I'm concerned, should be tried for treason. He's undermining the British people. The people at that rally, a lot of those people, if you look at the faces, you can see basically there's a lot of English involved because they're stupid and dumb and don't understand what's going on and think it's all a big joke and it's a day out to go on a protest and to wear that silly scarf. But there's a lot of people in there who are infiltrators into our society, and they're trying to change it as well. And I've got to say only one thing, that if people like him, Jeremy Corbyn, and other people who are infiltrating the British government, who are getting seats in Parliament, are pushing their agenda for people who don't want to be British, trying to force their ways onto the British society, and of course the lazy Englishman is allowing it, not because he's lazy I suppose, because he's very forgiving and helpful and wants to help everybody. I mean, British people are very embracing people, but they're being laughed at, totally laughed at. We have a British press who pander to these people. We have the state, so-called state TV and radio, BBC, who still refuse to call a terrorist a terrorist. And it's going on and on and on, like I am right now. But I get really angry, and it's really wound me up. That's what I put me angry hat on today. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say today. I think I've said enough. I think you get the gist. As far as I'm concerned, Israel are looking after their people the way they should. They're not doing wrong, and hopefully stop wearing that stupid scarf and start supporting a democratic country. Anyway, I'm going to go. That's the old git. Another day done, and hopefully we will see you again soon. Until the next time, well, stay safe.